Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we get to try one of the most recent puzzles from the brilliant Phistomefel. Now this is an interesting Phistomefel puzzle because in the sort of panoply of puzzles that he has produced, most of which are incredibly difficult, this one is apparently relatively approachable in the normal meaning of the word. So if you've never managed to solve a Phistomefel puzzle before, this could be a chance to break your duck and finish a puzzle by the great man. Now, before we get on to it and I read you the rules, a few things to mention. Many of you are asking about our Killer Sudoku app and whether it is out, why it's not out. Well, we've sent it to Steam, we've sent it to Apple, we've sent it to Android. They all have the game, and basically all they have to do is to approve it, and then it will be released, which they haven't done yet. And it's something of a, something we can't control. We just have to wait for them to get to it and to tick it. And once they've ticked it, we can release it. What I will tweet as soon as I hear anything. So if you haven't followed us on Twitter, we are at Cryptic Cracking. We couldn't do at Cracking the Cryptic because Twitter said that was too many letters. Nah, these things are sent to try us. So at Cryptic Cracking, and I will publish any news I get. Now, if you do like our merch, or you're interested in merch, or you know somebody who likes Cracking the Cryptic who would like merch for Christmas, I think you have to get your order in for merch by tomorrow, otherwise they can't guarantee Christmas delivery. So if anyone is interested in that, there's a link under the video to our merchandise. We do work quite hard on it. It does contain original puzzles that are real. Yeah, check it out if you like that sort of thing. Now, I've also got some more names to read you for correct solvers of this magnificent Sudoku puzzle hunt that's been published on our Patreon page for patrons of the channel by Stefan Bura and Akash Jain. So well done to Mike Daniels, Brandon Crow, David Vance and Biker Jack, all of whom have now finished the puzzles correctly and sent me the correct solutions. So very, very well done. That is no mean feat. You join a small number of people in the world who managed to finish it. I know not everybody in the world tried it, but they should have done. It's called Tracking the Cryptid, by the way. Do have a go. Now, what are the rules of Phistomfel's puzzle? Let me read them to you. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. The digits on a thermometer increase starting from the bulb end. So if you've never seen a thermo Sudoku before, these are very straightforward. You can see that's a thermometer shape there, for example. We have to put the smallest digit on this thermometer shape in the bulb. Doesn't have to be a 1, it could be like a 3, for example. Now the next digit along the thermo just has to be higher than a 3. Doesn't have to be a 4, could be a 5. Then this has to be higher than 5, could be a 7, then that has to be higher than 7, could be a 9. So this would be a perfectly valid way of filling this thermometer. And that's all you have to know about thermometers. Now also you can see I've marked in blue in this puzzle both main diagonals. They need to also contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So as well as every row in the puzzle needing to have the digits 1 to 9, every column, every box in this puzzle, both main diagonals also need to have the digits 1 to 9, which is an interesting constraint, and no doubt Phistomefel will have inbuilt some diabolical logic that we'll have to spot to figure out the puzzle. So do have a go. The way to play, click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And well, the first thing that strikes me here is that there's certainly some sort of symmetry about these corner boxes. They've all got 1, 2, 3, 4. They've all got a 6-cell thermometer in them, which is approximately, well, it's a similar shape. The bulb is sort of in different positions in each one. I'm not sure what that means, but it does look interesting. Now Mark's method, by the way, of solving thermo Sudokus is instantly to jump in, and he would instantly be writing, for example, this square, what's that, 6-cell thermometer. So this has to be a 1, 2, 3 or 4. Because if it was 5, you'd go 6, 7, 8, 9, broken. You can't put 10 into any cell. Now I'm just I don't like doing that immediately because I find I almost get blinded by the amount of information in the grid. Especially here, if I was to fill all of these thermometers with 4 pencil marks in each cell, I might have to do it, but I don't want to. So if you don't mind, I am just going to stare at this for a second or two and just see if I can see anything inherent in it. So when I say what sort of things am I looking for? Basically, I'm looking for the positions of 1s and 9s, because 1 and 9 are restricted. If you look at box 1, for example, where can 1 go? Well, because if the 1 is on a thermometer, it can only ever be in the bulb. Yeah, so actually that is a little bit interesting, isn't it? So 1 is either in the bulb or it's on the diagonal. Oh, I see. Is that the same for every... 1 is either... Yeah, it's certainly true for that one. Ah, right, okay, this might be the purpose of these shapes. Yeah, that's really interesting. So basically we can say for each corner box that there is sort of a binary possibility regarding the state of the world, especially as regard the digit 1. The 1 is either in the bulb of the thermometer or it's on the diagonal. One of those things is always true. And that, yeah, that's immediately interesting actually. Look at the way, for example, box 1 and box 9 interact. If the 1 is here, then it's in the bulb of the thermometer. A knowledge bomb from Cracking the Cryptic. If the 1 is on the bulb of the thermometer, it is on the bulb of the thermometer. I know, I'm not sure that I can really get away with that one. But if the 1 is not on the bulb of the thermometer, it's definitely on the diagonal. Now, if it's on the diagonal, in box 9, the 1 has to be in the bulb there. And then it couldn't be in the bulb here. I have to go... right, okay, I'm going to colour. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to colour. So if this is a 1, then 1 in this box would have to be in one of those two positions, because it couldn't be in the bulb, it would have to be on the diagonal. Now, 1 can't be on the diagonal here, so it has to be in the bulb. Now, 1 can't be on the bulb here, so it has to be on the diagonal, and can't be there. Right, okay, so let's colour those in and stare at them. So if the 1 is on the bulb in box 1, this is the pattern of the 1s that we get. And the thing that immediately hits me here is that both diagonals have the 1 is on both diagonals in boxes 3 and 9, so that the 1 can't go in those positions in the central box, and that means, look at that, this sort of 5 shape that we filled in forces the 1 onto the thermometer in box 5 where it can't go anywhere but there. So we could fill in a purple here. Now, gosh, it's close to being good here as well. 1 would have to be in one of those cells. Actually, they're worth filling in as well in that box. 1 down here couldn't be on the thermometer. Can't be there because of that. So 1 goes in one of those cells. So in fact, you get 1s in these 2 squares as well by Sudoku. So if 1 is in the bulb of this thermometer, the whole pattern of 1s almost gets fixed. Now let's have a look. If on the other hand 1 is in the diagonal here, let's use a different colour. I'll use green. What does that do? And the reason this is interesting is that we still immediately get to place the 1 in this box, because once it's not on the diagonal, we know it's in the bulb because of the way that Phistomefel has set up the thermometers. Now over here it's not in the bulb, so again it's got to be in the diagonal. Again, this means we're going to get a 1 here, by the way, because now look, in both colouring alternatives we've got the 5 shape in the middle forcing the 1 onto the thermometer. So this square well, actually I'm going to just put it in and then I'm going to remove its colour because I know it's a 1 in either iteration. Now 1 can't be there, so it's got to be in the bulb. It goes there, so 1 is not here anymore. 1 is not here because of this one. Oh, so 1... Ah, that's interesting. So in this box, the 1 is in the same position as the purples, and in this box, the 1 is in the same position as the purples by Sudoku. And what about this box? We can't put 1... Yeah, it's in the same position again, because once this is a 1... In fact, that's weird, isn't it? So if you look along row 3 of the grid, there is either a 1 in this bulb or this bulb, and in row 7 there's either a 1 in that bulb or that bulb. So it's sort of a weird offset X-wing on 1s. But 1 has to be in one of those squares, the same as the purple. 1 has to be... Oh no, maybe it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to. It can't be there. Oh no, it does. It has to be in the same positions again, which means that's not a 1. Oh, that's the point, isn't it? Once the 1 is locked into those 2 squares here, this can't be a 1 either. Sorry, I'm catching up with the logic. So 1 can't be there, so it has to be in one of those 2, so is not here. So this I think is the final position of the 1s. Now all of those purples I can get rid of the colour on, and I can fill them, all of these, with pencil marks. Those are the positions of the 1s in either version of the colouring. Otherwise we end up with the ones that I've put in the colours. So that's interesting. I can't disambiguate these apparently. I probably can, I just haven't worked out how to do it. But that is already fascinating. So I'm just wondering, can we do exactly the same with 9s then? We can. It's the same question. Oh, this Phistomefel. You just, when you do his puzzles, you just have to wake up and smell the genius. That's what you have to do, because it's the same question. I.e., if we think about it in terms of the thermometer, the only place on the thermometer that could ever hold the 9 is the final position. And look, the final position is never on the diagonal. So again, there's a binary state of existence. Will I get away with colouring this, or am I going to get overlapping with my 1s? Well, the only way of finding out is to try. We'll look at option 1, which is that this is a 9. If this is a 9, that can't be a 9. So the 9 shifts out. It overlaps with the purple, of course it does. Bother. But now, what would that mean? That would mean down here, that would have to be it. That would have to be red. That means that's not red. Yeah, so it perfectly overlaps with the purples. And it means we get in the middle box, you get the 5 shape again, which would force the 9 into this cell. Right, okay. How do I keep track of this in a way that's going to make sense? I don't know. I'm not sure how to do this. I know that would make that a 9. I know that this would be a 9. And I know that the 9 would overlap with these 2 positions. So I could maybe pencil mark these with sideways 9s. So that's one possibility, which is going to place 9 in one of those 2 cells as well. Let's do the same thing there. And there as well. Because remember, this will be the 9 under this iteration. Now, If, on the other hand, this is not a 9, we get a 9 on the diagonal. Now, if the 9 is on the diagonal, that will be a 9. Oh, it's beautiful. It's going to, now it kicks it onto the diagonal here. So the 9 would go into one of those two squares because it couldn't be in this one because this is a 9. The 9 is now locked into this square in either iteration because we've got the V pattern in the middle, so not the V, the sort of X pattern in the middle again. That forces this to be it. Which forces that one not to be. Good grief. So now this is getting very confusing. So basically we can say for certain those two squares are in the iteration where these are 9s, these become 9s. 9s are in those positions, but I don't know which way round they go. These 9s were good, they were fine because the 9s overlap there, the 9s shifted here. So we're ending up in quite a complicated position. This is always 9 though and should not be read. And in each box I've got to make sure I understand that those are also possible to be 9s. So there are 3 positions for 9s in these boxes. Wow. Okay. And again, look at the red and the blue now. We now know in row 3 what either of these has to be true. And in row 7, one of these has to be true, which means, oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay. So where does 9 go in box 2 of the grid? We can't put a 9 here because of this. We know one of these must be 9. Because we're either in a blue, a red sequence or a blue sequence. So none of those are 9. That's not 9. You can't put 9 on a thermometer other than in the bulb end. That's got to be a 9. 9, oh, nearly. No, this is great. This is great. It works again down here. Look at where 9 can go. By Sudoku, it's got to be in one of those 3 squares. Well, it can't be partially along a thermometer. So the 9 is in one of these 2 squares. The 9 can't be here because either this is a 9 or this is a 9 in the final puzzle. So this is a 9, and look, that's going to overlap with a 1. So this becomes a 1. This becomes a 1. This, that removes 9 from those 2 cells. That's interesting, look. Now 9 is definitely in column 8 in box 9, so that's not 9 anymore. 9's not here anymore. 9's are getting tidied. Good grief. Okay, so we end up here, I think. So I've got to remember, purples and greens are dealing with 1s. Reds and blues are dealing with 9s. And so far, I haven't over-pencil marked this grid. That is a triumph. Well done, me. Got something else. Where do you put 1 and 9 in row 1 of the grid? Well, the answer, you can never put 1 and 9 partially along a thermometer. So that means these 2 squares are a 1-9 pair. Well, actually, when I say you can never put 9 partially along a thermometer, that could have been a 9 other than the fact this is a 9. So you can't put 1 or 9 in any of those squares or those squares. So you do end up with 1s and 9s in the corners. So I'm just trying to work this out. Sorry, let me just think for a second or two. got 1 9 pair here. Am I going to have to do pencil marking? I think I might have to resort to it in a second. I'm starting to get confused. Ah, no, hang on. Where do 2 and 8 go? Oh, this is a good thought. Where do 2 and 8 go in row 1? Well, you can't put 2 or 8 in those two squares, because if you look at where they're positioned on the thermometer, they're too far away from the bulb and too far away from the end. So if you tried to put 8 here, for example, you'd have to go 9, and then this would have to be a 10. Well, that's never going to work. Similarly, if you try and put 2 here, you'd have to go 1, and although my software allows me to put 0 in there, that's not going to work because it breaks the rules of Sudoku. So this is not 2, 8. Exactly the same thing happens there. So the 2 and the 8 are in these 3 squares, where the 1, well, the next digit up from 1 is 2, and you can't put 8 here because then you'd have to put 9 here. Or 10. You can't do that. I can't even do that in my new software. So the 8 goes there. I think I'm going to be I'm going to have to resort to Goodliffeism now. This is never a good sign. Yeah, I'm struggling to see what's going on. So let's do it. Let's do it. Sorry about this. So those squares have got to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. The next squares up are going to have to be 2, 3, 4, or 5. Then we can go the next squares up. Let's not get this wrong. Have got to be 3, 4, 5, or 6. The next squares are going to be 4, 5, 6, or 7. Make sure I click in the right places. So these have got to be 5, 6, 7, or 8. And then finally, we get the 6, 7s, 8s, and 9s. Okay. Now, let us take stock and see if this reveals any secrets to us. Apologies if you're spotting all sorts of things here. I'm trying to spot all sorts of things, but failing. Ah, maybe this thermometer. Ooh, that square can't be... Yeah, okay. Look at the bottom row. Where do 2 and 8 go? Well, they can't go there, because, again, this is too middling on the thermometer. In fact, let's fill this in, because actually this can't even be 1. So the options for this square are 2, 3, 4, or... It can't be 5, I don't think, because 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there's a 9 in the box. So this is actually 2, 3, or 4, which means that this has only got 3 options in each position. But the critical thing we could already deduce without even thinking about this 1 and 9 here is that we've not managed to put 2 and 8 in row 9. So 2 and 8 have got to go in those squares. Now that's the immediate square I then look at is that one. Can that square be a 2 or an 8? Well, obviously not, because if it's a 2, it rules 2 out from both of those positions, and you can't then put a 2 in row 9. Obviously the same thing is true of 8. So if this can't be 2 or 8, where does 2 go? Where does 2 go in box 5? It can't go that far along a thermometer because I can't put 1.5 there. So 2 has to be in one of those cells, which means this is not 2. If that's not 2, this can't be 3, this can't be 4, this can't be 5, this can't be 6. So 2 goes in one of those 2 cells. And this is suddenly becoming much more restricted. 2... Can we do the same thing with 8 then? This can't be 8. 8 here removes 8 from those cells. 8 can't be next to the 1 because we can't put 8.5 here. So we get... 8 can't be there. No. Ah! Maybe. Bobbins. No. We can't do it. 8's not good. Well, it's not been naughty, but 8's still got 3 positions it could go in. I was hoping I could limit it out of those 2 squares. But I think it can still go here. or limit it down to those 2 squares, but I think it can still go there, which is annoying. So 8 is not helpful, naughty 8. So we're going to have to... So all we got from the 2 and the 8 was locking a 2 into one of those cells. Oh, but that's... Yeah, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. Can that square be a 2? The answer is no, it can't, because look what it does. It places a 2 here, because obviously you can't repeat 2 on the diagonal. So those 2 squares, let's do it longhand, would be 2. Now where do we put a 2 in box 1? Well, these 2 couldn't be 2 anymore. These can't be 2 on the diagonal. Every other cell has a high value, so that's not ever going to work. You can't do that. This cannot be 2, and therefore has to be 8. That means that's a 2, which means that's a 2. Now, that might be helpful. 2 therefore can't go in either of those cells. If that can't be 2, that can't be 3 anymore. And that can't be 4, and that can't be 5, and that can't be 6. I'm wondering now actually if that 2 has disturbed any of the logic I did. I'm even forgetting what colours were involved. I think purple was the 1, wasn't it? Or was it? I think purple was 1. And green was 1. So I think there are now only 2 positions for 1s in box 9. Unless I misremember my colours, which would be a total disaster. Okay, well, hopefully I haven't. 8 can't go in those squares. If that can't be 8, that can't be 7, of course. So that can't be 6, that can't be 5, and that can't be 4. 8 now. 8 can't be there. 8 is now locked into one of 2 positions in the middle box. 7. 7 in row 9. This square not being a 7 anymore. So where does 7 go? It can only go there. That means that's an 8. And oh, that means that blue is a 9. If blue is a 9, that means blue is a 9. Another knowledge bomb from me there. That's got to be a 9, therefore. So red is not 9, which means red is on the diagonal. 9 is on the diagonal. Hang on, let me just tidy up these pencil marks, and then there's a few things I can see here. The first is that the 9 is on the, well, you can see by Sudoku, the 9's going in the green up here, which is displacing, I think that's displacing where the 1 could go. I think that means that has to be a 1. I think green was a 1 digit. I'm not certain though, so let's just keep going. I think we're still in good shape. But yeah, okay, this 9 means this is a 1. Where does 1 now go in this box? It can only go in the bulb of the thermometer. Once 1 goes here, 1 has to go, oh no, 1 doesn't necessarily have to go there. Yeah, 1 has to go in this cell, because it's got to be in purple, and that does mean that our purple highlighting was correct, because 1 has to go there. Nice. Now this being a 6 or a 7 now restricts the value of this square. This can't be 7, because obviously that would require an 8 or a 9 here. So again, we get to take the top digit out of all of those cells. This square must be the 9. And I think that's as far as I can take the 9. So I just want to check the 1s and the 9s quickly, if you don't mind, just to keep an eye on what's going on. Now this not being able to be a 9 restricts the ability of this, of course, to be 8, so that we can again get rid of some top digits off. 1 here comes off that square. If that can't be 1, that can't be 3. So again, we get rid of digits. We've got a 3-4 pair, look there. Oh, we've got all sorts of things going on. Look at the bottom rows. We've got 4, 5 there. So that's got to be a 6. which means the cell above it's a 7, which means that's a 7, which means that's an 8. 5, 6 here means that's a 4, 3, 2, 2. Keep going. 5. Now that square should be fillable now, shouldn't it? Because that's got to be a 6, I think, just to complete this row. This 6 means that that's a 5, that's a 4, and that's a 3, and that's a 4, and that's a 5, and yes, that's a 6. And therefore this little square should be a 3, and it still looks like it's working. This 8 fixes an 8 onto the thermo in the middle box. Okay, 3, 6, 7. Can't see. I can see a little bit actually about that because of course of the diagonal. That one can't be 6 because of the 6 here. So there's definitely a 6 in one of those two squares at the top. 5 has got to come out of that square and that square. And if that can't be 5, this can't be 6, can it? Because that would be impossible, because this has to have a value of at least 6. So it's still not quite done, but I definitely feel like we're on the right track. Yeah, we can get rid of 1 from that square. That's the low digit, so we can get rid of the low digit in every position along the thermo. We can get rid of the 5 here, which again is the low digit. So now this can't be 6, and we're nearly getting somewhere, I think. That square's getting rid of a 6 from this square. If that can't be... Oh no, that's not actually helped. It's helped in the sense that that can't be 5 though, and that can't be 4. So we're nearly there, but not quite. We still need 4, 5 and 7 into these positions. You can see that, yeah, again there's some tidying up we can do because this can't be 5 because of the diagonal. So 5 must be in one of those two squares, but I don't know which one. Let's just take stock and see if we can spot anything. Where does 3 go? In row 1, that would be a sensible question because it can only go there. 3, so that makes that one a 2. Where does 2 go in this box now? Well, it looks like it might be able to go in both of those squares apart from there's a 2 on the diagonal, so that's a 2. So this now becomes a 1, 2, 9 triple. Or we can do a little bit of tidying again. Therefore this is a 3, 4, 5 triple. The 5, look, that one sees the 5 there. That makes this a 3, 4 pair, which fixes 5 into this cell. We now know that this is a 5 using our pencil marks. This square is on the diagonal, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6, 7 or 8, and it can't be 8, 6 or 7. Well, that's good enough. If that's 6 or 7, it joins up with its friend there, and that makes that one an 8. Which means one of those two is an 8. Oh no, it doesn't. Look, that's lovely. One of these two is an 8, except we've got 8s in those two squares, so we need an 8 on this diagonal, so it's got to be there, which means that one's the 7, that's a 6, forces this to be a 4, that's a 7, that's a 4, that sees the diagonal. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. 6 and 7 get resolved. This should be a 3. That should be a 6. This should be a 4. This should be a 5. That 7 is done. Now we can look along this diagonal. We've not put a 3 on it yet, so that's a 3. Those two squares are 5 and 6. Can we do that? Probably. Oh yeah, let's use the diagonal. 5 and 6 does it. So we've actually done 7 boxes of the Sudoku now. So I guess what do? Do we just go along? We probably just... Yeah, that's a 3 because it's a naked single. There's a 5, 4 in the row already. So this is a 4, 5. Along here we need 2, 6 and 8. There's a 2, 8 there. That one becomes a 6. 2, 8 pair. This triple, let's delete it. We need 1, 7 and 9. 1, 7 here. So that's a 9. This is 1, 7. This 9 sees all of this. 2, 1, 9 gets fixed. 1 and 7 gets fixed. 2 and 8 get fixed. And we just need 6 and 8 there. You can see we can fill those in. 3 and 4 into those squares. We can fill that in. 4 and 5 get filled in. 5 and 7 get filled in. We click check, and that is how to solve a gorgeous thermo Sudoku with diagonal constraints by the great Phistomefel. Very interesting puzzle. I'm not sure, I might have been quicker if I'd filled in the digits on the thermos earlier. Maybe Mark's right, and that is a more efficient way. But it was fascinating the way that the colours worked. It's very unusual to start colouring a thermo, but that's what these great constructors sometimes make you do. So I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comments, and we'll be back later, of course, with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.